From WXOW, this is La Crosse's Own News 19 Live at 5.
We never agreed to, protect the Kurds.
As U.S. troops leave Syria, they're becoming witness to the turmoil left behind.
The will of the people is the law of the land.
Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers is demanding a vote on gun control. And jury selection today for the homicide trial gripping La Crosse. Eric Sackett accused of killing his former girlfriend, Erin Samvalai. Good afternoon, I'm Heather Armstrong. This week's homicide trial has been more than a year in the making. Let's take a quick look back at the case. In June of 2018, 35-year-old La Crosse woman Erin Samvalai went missing. Her body was later found in a Vernon County lake, weighed down with concrete bricks. The official cause of death is yet to be announced, but not 2 months later, 38-year-old Eric Sackett was charged with Samvalai's murder. Jury selection for his trial started this morning, and News 19's Marcus Arsval was there and brings us up to speed on the newest developments.
Jury selection ended just this afternoon with 4 women and 10 men, including 2 alternates, selected to sit as the jurors who will decide whether or not the prosecution proves beyond reasonable doubt that Eric Sackett murdered Erin Samvalai. As you mentioned before, Samvalai's body was found in a Vernon County lake. She and Eric Sackett were involved romantically. A clean-cut Sackett was present in court today for jury selection. Judge Elliot Levine, the prosecution, and the defense questioned the potential jurors as to whether or not they could treat Sackett's trial fairly.
So would you be able to set aside that information and say that information was not brought to me before a trial?
After each juror was questioned, the judge, defense, and prosecution then collaborated and decided whether or not to keep that juror. They were also asked questions about suicide and mental health, as those issues will arise when discussing how Samvalai died.
All right, thank you, Marcus. Tonight at 6, we'll hear a sample of the questions asked to potential jurors by Sackett's lawyer. Well, Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers is calling the legislature into a special session to take up 2 gun control bills.
The first was expanding universal background checks in Wisconsin. The second, a bill to create an extreme risk protection order process that allows loved ones and law enforcement to petition to remove guns.
The bills have been a point of contention for months in Wisconsin. Today, Governor Evers said any Republican leader opposing the bills can, quote, go to hell. Now, Evers says a Marquette Law poll proves 80% of people support each bill and that the legislature owes Wisconsinites a vote. Now, this is the first special session Governor Evers has called. State Republican leaders Scott Fitzgerald and Robin Vos reacted to the governor's call today. Hear their side coming up tonight at 6. Well, new this afternoon, the U.S. troop withdrawal from Syria will not happen overnight. That's what U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper told reporters while speaking in Afghanistan today. He also said not all forces are moving out.
This withdrawal will take weeks, not days. Until that time, our forces will remain in the towns that are located near the oil fields. The purpose of those forces is to deny access to those oil fields by ISIS and others who may benefit from their revenues that could be earned.
Earlier this month, President Trump ordered the Pentagon remove nearly all 1,000 U.S. troops from Syria. Last week, there was a 5-day ceasefire brokered to help that move, but the deal expires tomorrow. Well, today, troops have been spotted leaving, and here you see dozens of vehicles heading into Iraq, having just crossed the northern border. Well, not everyone showed that today. Well, not everyone is pleased, as you can see, with the decision to pull out. Frustration today, people throwing rotten potatoes at the military convoy as they went by. Some people even standing in the path and shouting insults at U.S. troops. Well, President Trump addressed the unrest today, saying his priority is protecting the oil and that the U.S. relationship with the Kurds is still going well.
The Kurds are going to be watching. We're working with the Kurds. We have a good relationship with the Kurds. But we never agreed to, protect the Kurds. We fought with them for 3.5 to 4 years. We never agreed to protect the Kurds for the rest of their lives.
President Trump said today he doesn't believe leaving any troops in Syria is necessary at this point. In other national headlines tonight, President Trump tweeted over the weekend that his Miami Doral resort will no longer be the venue for the upcoming G7 summit. Now, upset with the fallout over his original plan, the president tweeted that he was forced to cancel the idea because of do-nothing Democrat fake news anger. That idea had sparked immediate backlash.
It's important to have integrity in what you say and do. And I can't imagine how they would say it's good to have Trump use his hotel for the G7.
Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett isn't too upset, though. He's already campaigning for his city to be selected as the new location. Barrett submitted a letter to the president on Sunday night asking him to consider Milwaukee, speaking highly of the city's economy and diversity.
I think it makes sense to have the world leadership that's coming to the United States come to a location that is affected by trade, that is seeing some success but some challenges, and to come to a place where there's a lot of diversity and there's really, in many ways, this is a microcosm of America.
Milwaukee is already slated to host the 2020 Democratic National Convention next July. The G7 summit is scheduled to take place on June 12th of 2020. Meanwhile, yesterday, the president's acting chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, backpedaled on his admission from last week that there was a quid pro quo in the president's phone call with Ukraine. Later this week, House impeachment investigators expect to hear testimony from multiple Trump administration officials on exchanges with Ukraine. In continuing coverage, 4 drug companies have reached a last-minute settlement just hours before the opioid trial was set to begin in Ohio. AmerisourceBergen, Cardinal Health, and McKesson will pay a collective $215 million effective immediately, while Teva Pharmaceutical owes $20 million, with $5 million of that to be paid by the end of this year. Now, the 5th defendant, Walgreens, was not included in the settlement, and they will get a new trial date. Purdue Pharma, that's the maker of OxyContin, is trying to settle opioid lawsuits through bankruptcy court. Well, federal prosecutors are filing additional charges against some people who pleaded not guilty in the college admissions scandal. The new charges are said to include bribery. The scandal involves more than 50 parents, coaches, and even test administrators who allegedly schemed to cheat, bribe, and lie to get kids into college. Well, another wave of severe weather is sweeping across America's heartland right now, from southern Illinois down to Texas. The National Weather Service confirms a tornado touched down in the northern part of Dallas on Sunday. And as of last night, no tornado warnings, though, were in effect. That's according to a tweet from the NWS. However, officials there say there is a chance that a new tornado could develop, bringing severe storms into spots of Dallas. Now, so far, there are no reports of any deaths or serious injuries. Well, through noon today, the La Crosse Airport received over 1.5 inches of rain. This raised the rainfall total to 40.36 inches for 2019, that is. Now, according to the National Weather Service, this is the 13th year on record that rainfall totals have exceeded 40 inches.
If you take a look at what is 13 years, 4 of them have occurred during the last 4 years. Matter of fact, this one is now number 13. So we've been fairly wet for a long period of time.
All of this is still over 2 months to go in the year, so find out what the Climate Prediction Center is forecasting for the upcoming months coming up at 6. Well, this looks a bit less dreary outside right now, though. Skies cleared up for a few hours this afternoon and the rain went away, making a drier fall day after that wet morning, but hopefully the weather stays this way. And I guess Dan Breeden joins us now, and he's going to tell us, I don't think it's going to stay that way. You said it's going to get kind of icky out there.
Yeah, one word, nope. We have a storm system. It's a powerful one. We managed to get into a dry slot. Unfortunately, there's plenty of wraparound moisture, and that's going to come into the area. We're right now in the warm sector of this system, so actually it's pretty mild, well above average for this time of the year, 65 degrees so far for today, but the readings are coming down. Here's what I'm talking about, the storm system, the rain to the north and west. We even had a few scattered showers redeveloping in the dry slot, and all of that's going to rotate through the area yet for tonight and tomorrow. Again, temperatures temperatures just starting to fall off to the south and west. Readings there now into the upper 40s to low 50s. I'll have more coming up in just a bit. Heather?
Thanks, Dan. New at 5, former Wisconsin Republican Representative Sean Duffy is making his way to your television screen with the help of CNN as a new political contributor, that is. Now, Duffy retired from Wisconsin politics just last month to help his family. And he and his wife were expecting another child through a complicated pregnancy. Well, there'll be a special election to fill Duffy's congressional seat on May 12th. Well, there's another food recall to warn you about tonight, particularly if you shop at Walmart. 3 different Great Value breakfast sausage patties are getting pulled because of possible salmonella. Now, the recall covers more than 6,000 pounds of ready-to-eat pork and turkey sausage patty products. There haven't been any reports of anyone getting sick, but if you do have the recalled items, you should discard them right away. In other consumer news, all Dunkin' Donuts restaurants will offer a meatless sandwich nationwide starting next month using the plant-based product Beyond Meat. Well, Dunkin's first introduced the meatless sausage in New York City this July, and sandwich sales were more than twice what was expected. Coming up, it was a big weekend in the Wisconsin sports world. Stay tuned after some weather for some of the highlights. Plus,
I knew life was changing right in front of me, and it's a question of are we going to pull through or not.
one lifetime Minnesotan football fan had a Friday Night Lights scare. Luckily, those on the sidelines were prepared to help, and they might have saved his life. Learn how when we come back.
You're watching News 19 Live at 5 with Heather Armstrong and Chief Meteorologist Dan Breeden. Live at 5 continues right now.
While many in the Byron community come together on fall Friday nights for football, an emergency situation brought some even closer. Reporter Uba Ali has some big-time Byron sports fan story and the proof of witnesses' quick sideline action.
October 4th started out being a typical football Friday in Byron until Larry Olkers got into his car.
Put the keys in, and that's when I knew there was something not right, but that's all I know other than some ambulance lights.
Thankfully, longtime companion Doris Jensen was right next to him.
I knew life was changing right in front of me, and it's a question of are we going to pull through or not.
She called for Olkers' daughter, Stacy Douglas, who was in the stands at the time.
I just jumped up in the stands and said, "My dad's having a heart attack. I need all the help I can get."
The response surprised the family.
And all these people were following me. Some were passing me.
When she got there, her father was receiving help by fellow nurses.
She started CPR with him sitting in the car, which was very difficult. And then another nurse appeared. I don't know how she arrived, if she heard our call or somebody had gotten her by then. But she was feeling for pulse in the neck the whole time.
Olkers pulled through, but the odds weren't on his side.
We were told we should be planning a funeral and that my dad was less than 1% chance that survived this type of medical emergency.
Douglas, a nurse herself, is well aware of what saved her father's life.
Our hearts are full with gratitude because we know, being a nurse and working close with EMS, I know how this scenario should have turned out.
Looking good, Gramps.
Early bystander CPR is probably one of the most important skills in the chain of survival. I credit his life to the quick thinking and the heroic efforts of the people that night.
I'm just going to tell him you guys saved my lives. I'm so thankful for you. And
because of them, Olkers is able to look forward on his life and one other thing in Byron.
well, the playoffs. Football playoffs.
Olkers ended up undergoing a triple bypass surgery, but he's now recovering at home. So it was really coming down today.
It was. We had over 1.5 inches of rain in many areas. In fact, I think La Crosse, one of the heavier ones. But colder weather is coming. I'll have details when News 19 Live at 5 continues.
Now, your Storm Tracker 19 weather.
I had some standing rain all over the place. This is a real strong storm.
Sounds like it. All right. Thank you, Dan. Coming up, it was a big weekend for Wisconsin sports, sprinkled with some memorable performances. And we'll have highlights from the Packers and the Badgers when we come back. The Green Bay Packers once again proving they are a force to be reckoned with, taking down the Oakland Raiders 42-24 at home. The Packers offense was in high gear all day, and the defense got a couple of timely stops near the goal line. Aaron Rodgers finished the game with 5 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing score, and 429 passing yards. With the win, the Packers improved to 6-1. Fans at Lambeau got a special treat at halftime. The UW Marching Band performed for the crowd. They also played the national anthem before kickoff and the 5th quarter after the game. On Saturday, the Badgers were down in Champaign trying to keep their undefeated year going. It should have been an easy win, but that wasn't the case. Wisconsin seemed to be in control for most of the game, yet they were never able to pull away. 2 turnovers in the 4th quarter doomed them against Illinois, who were ready to capitalize on the mistakes. Illinois wins it 24-23. We're back in a couple of minutes with the preview of the 6 p.m. report. Scott Hackworth joins us now to tell you what we're working on at 6. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Heather. If you drive in Minnesota, remember the hands-free cell phone law that's now in effect. Because of the proximity of the border, drivers in Wisconsin who drive in Minnesota may now remember that that state now has stricter laws regarding the use of cell phones while driving. Plus, lawmakers react to Governor Evers' decision to call a special session on gun control regulations at 6. Heather.
All right, thanks, Scott. Finally, at 5, one Minnesota girl had the find of a lifetime on Prior Lake.
I took a closer look at it, and it was an alligator. So I went to grab a paddle, and I kind of just poked it a little to see if it was dead or alive, and it was actually dead.
The DNR told them to put the alligator in the freezer and they'd come pick it up. But here's the kicker. Grandma says she actually saw the gator alive in the water the week before. The DNR thinks the animal was someone's pet who got loose or was thrown away. Oh, that's an odd one. Yeah. So a lot of rain.
A lot of rain. Of course, we've already had a taste of the colder weather. That's going to take over through the middle part of the week before it finally starts to get back a little closer to average. But the rain right now, not the biggest story. I think it's the winds. We're going to talk about wind gusts to 45 miles per hour for tomorrow. And of course, the cold air, too, will come in a close second with readings mostly in the 40s throughout the afternoon. A good 10 to 15 degrees below average for this time of the year.
Not a good combination. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Good night.